We've come a long way since the early days of radio and television, and one of those who has made a lot of that happen is the man at KSTP. Tonight on Barry's ZeVan Scrapbook, a look at Stanley Hubbard, Twin Cities broadcast pioneer.
Stanley Eugene Hubbard was a Renaissance man before anyone knew what that meant. He's a pioneer in the broadcasting business. His KSTP-TV is the third oldest television station in the country. His KSTP-AM radio station has been on the air for over 60 years now. He's broadcast the sights and sounds of Minnesota for as long as anyone can remember. His is a success story almost unmatched in broadcasting history. Stanley Hubbard Sr. will celebrate his 88th birthday next June. Unfortunately, he's in ill health these days and has turned his operations over to his son. Stanley S. Hubbard is the man behind the desk now as Hubbard Broadcasting moves into the space age of television. And there's no one more familiar with what the elder Hubbard has accomplished.
He started the first radio news broadcast in the world that was broadcast on a regularly scheduled basis, and we had the first television. Now that doesn't mean a television station in the area, and we had the first television news on a daily basis in the world. That doesn't mean anything today, because what people care about today is what they see, not what you did before. But it was always exciting. We were the first station in the world to be a full-color station.
If one picture is worth 1,000 words, Stanley Hubbard's pictures tell the entire story, a virtual history book of broadcasting and every aspect of life it touches.
Roosevelt had come through Minnesota. He was the governor of New York, and my dad was asked by I'm trying to think, he later became Postmaster General, if he would give this man who was sure to be President of the United States some coaching as to how to use radio, and he gave him coaching as to how to use radio. And of course, Roosevelt used radio very effectively. He was a flying contemporary of Charles Lindbergh's. He used to tell a funny story that he recommended. Lindbergh had a few minor accidents, and a friend of his was invited to go for a ride with Charlie Lindbergh, and he said, "No, you don't want to ride with that guy because he's not safe. He has too many accidents." And it was shortly thereafter that Lindbergh flew the ocean, and my dad said the guy never forgave him because he had a chance to ride with Lindbergh. And a fun part of the business was the local live talent which you put on the radio, and which later on often went on to greater fame on the networks. And many people started at KSTP. Many people had their first radio broadcasts on KSTP, such as Jack Benny, and there were many others who became famous. Amos and Andy, and Peggy Lee, I think, did her first radio broadcast on KSTP.
Stanley Hubbard is a man who has left his mark on everyone in Minnesota who ever tuned in a radio or turned on a television set. He is truly one of the great legends of broadcasting. Barry ZeVan, News 11.
And tomorrow night, Barry opens his scrapbook to find another classic personality from the Twin Cities airwaves, Mel Jazz.
Kind of interesting.